High FM, 101.9 megahertz of life.
Justice Minister has suggested that foreign entities may be attempting to destabilize South Africa because of its international legal action against Israel. Desperation has absolutely no limits. To help us unpack these developments, we're joined this morning by Craig Pantanowitz, National Chairperson of the South African Zionist Federation. Craig, welcome. Thank you for joining us. What was your reaction when you heard those remarks? Remembering that this is a family radio station, Craig.
Good morning, Howard, and a very good morning to all of the listeners. Howard, it was a sigh of desperation, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that on a Monday morning with as many serious issues facing the world as there are, never mind just South Africa, that this is what you and I have to unpack, this absolute drivel. And I think we need to dismiss it with the contempt that it deserves.
You know, it's a problem. This is generally a problem because I often wonder, and I pay great mind to whether something needs to be spoken about or not. Because the one thing I hate doing and is following the agenda of haters. So when they try to whip up a reaction and a story, it's very tempting to talk about it, but the reality is you don't want to give it air. This one, I thought we do have to, given the fact that this was the front page of the Sunday Times. It's already got air. It's been given oxygen, even though it should never have been. So I want to break it up into two parts. Well, actually three parts. Firstly, how do you decide from a Zionist Fed perspective when to take something on and when to ignore it, or not ignore it because we never can afford to do that, but when not to give something the oxygen that it doesn't deserve?
So, Howard, let me start by saying that I completely agree with you that to even ventilate this gives it unnecessary airtime. Having said that, I think our job as the South African Zionist Federation is to always stand on the side of truth, and when necessary to step in to defend Israel from absolutely absurd commentary and attack where it is baseless and has no merit whatsoever. And whilst these accusations are completely ridiculous, we need to come in now and unequivocally state that they are ridiculous and shine light on the fact that our government's failures are being transferred to international arenas where they have no place. And I think we have a duty as supporters of the state of Israel and a duty as ordinary South African citizens who genuinely care about the well-being of our country and our community, that we stand up and say that this is completely ridiculous.
Can they be held, how do you hold government accountable for this type of talk? Because it's actually very dangerous. It is damaging. It's irresponsible. It undermines the issues that people are actually dealing with on with regard to illegal foreigners in South Africa. It's so poor on so many levels. How does one go about dealing with something like this?
So it's certainly not easy, Howard, but what we need to do is a few things. We need to, one, hold government to account. That means coming out with a very strong statement, and at every opportunity we get to confront them and ask them to back up their unfounded nonsense. We also need to take a strong stance against media that puts out this rubbish into
so that was going to be
the South African and global community, because they are happy to parrot any nonsense that somebody says as fact. And I mean, our Honourable Minister Mamakoko Kubai actually in the article says she has no evidence to back up this claim. So it's fine to say anything in the media, and the media will just amplify that. And unfortunately, this is not a South African phenomenon. We see this around the world, but it's really quite sad to see such a great newspaper as the Sunday Times stoop to these low levels of trying to get clickbait acknowledgement that they actually hold any legitimacy whatsoever. And as I said, Howard, this is a very thinly veiled attempt to deflect and hide from the government's absolute failure here. I am quite strong in the way that I'm putting this across, Howard, because it deserves nothing short of that. It The government are to blame. We suffer from terrible unemployment in this country, inequality, poor service delivery, competition in the all informal sector over livelihoods, and to blame this on Israel's foreign policy is just the ultimate scapegoat. It is anti Semitism 101, and every single person needs to call it out for what it is. Um, and I think it goes one step further, Howard. It undermines the voice of the average South African person who is genuinely distressed about the state of our economy, the state that our people are living in, and it takes away the power of their voice
Well,
where they are saying the
that's what I
government
find
have
so
failed them.
bizarre
They have
is,
had no
yeah.
border patrol. There has been no control, and the government now are being exposed without any excuses, and this is the best that they can come up with.
It's so true because it really does undermine it. And what I was seeing on social media yesterday is people were furious about this, not because they are supporters of Israel at all, but people are furious, and the reaction was very, very strong, simply because it really does undermine the issues themselves, because and it just takes away, it robs the protesters or the marchers of any form of agency. It is so incredibly disrespectful to people who were involved with it, because it just assumes that they are paid stooges by the Zionist regime. It's offensive, actually.
It's absolutely offensive, and we need to be aware of what it is. How would the government take our population as fools? And I think that the South African population on a whole see straight through what they're trying to do.
Mm.
We know where the issues lie. We as South Africans on the ground understand the desperation of our people, the inequality, the poverty. And we understand that when a government can go and spend 130 million rand on a spurious court case, taking Israel to the ICJ, that their priorities are not well aligned with the needs of South African citizens. Um, and I think it's very clear, Howard, if we just look back in history very, very briefly, these are issues that South Africa has been facing since 2008. People have died because of this specific thing that South Africa are trying to scapegoat on Israel. It's incredibly serious, and we need to call it out, as I said earlier, with the absolute disgust that it deserves. There is no space in our society for lies like this, and South African government should bow their heads in shame and stand up and take responsibility for the difficulty that their population are facing.
Is before I let you go, from a Zionist Fed perspective, what are you going to follow this up with?
So, Howard, obviously this came out yesterday, so we will be meeting this morning. We will be issuing a press release later today, and obviously speaking to the various contacts in government that we do have, that hopefully we can get the political parties that are more reasonable and more moderate, that don't buy into this propaganda and this nonsense, to stand with us, beside us, in calling out these claims for what they are: absolute nonsense.
That is where we leave it. Craig Pantanowitz, thank you. As always, keep fighting the fight. And on behalf of us all,